Okay, today we're going to do The Descent of Inanna. If you've never read it or heard it, then go do so. We'll eventually jump right into the text. Um, I would read it myself, but I am not a voice actor. I've never heard a good reading of it. I've heard because I understand some of the text, and when I hear some of the people reading it, I realize they don't understand what they're reading because they should be doing it in a different way. So hopefully I can direct some of you into the meanings of this text. Um, Now this is a esoteric text. Esoteric simply means hidden, um, and so if you think of sarcasm, somebody will say something, "You are awesome," and that has a meaning. The meaning means you are awesome. But if they're being sarcastic, then there's two meanings, right? There's the first meaning, which means you are awesome. But the second meaning, hidden within, is that you're not awesome. Um, and this can be done with different degrees. So uh, sometimes everybody will know you're being sarcastic, and other times people will not. So, do do do. Oh, this video is covered by The Secret. The Secret is the first video I made on my channel, The Masterless Master. Um, so go check that video out. You have been warned. Um, Now, the key to many ancient esoteric texts is simply human behavior. So if you know human behavior, then you will be able to understand the second meaning. If you do not know the hidden behavior, then it will be hidden from you. Um, Moses himself tells you this. It's like he tells you the key to interpretation, which is he tells you learn human behavior. I mean, I think he says that at some point. And it's just kind of like he kind of just casually throws it in there. Um, but so that's how I am going to approach this text. I'm going to approach it with an eye of human behavior. Um, Now, Abraham of Ur, right? We have to assume was Sumerian. So Abraham would have been familiar with this text. Moses himself would have been familiar with this text, the descent of Inanna. Um, Now, when thinking about esoteric texts, we have to talk about critical thinking. Okay. Now, when reading anything, whether you're talking about esoteric texts or regular words, then you have to have critical thinking. And what is critical thinking? Well, you're listening, right? You're listening. You're listening with an ear to understand the words coming out of their mouth. And then, only then are you judging, right? Now, today, like you might go up to somebody and begin speaking, and they will interrupt you and basically ask you, are you a liberal or a conservative? Are you a Christian or an atheist? They want to know your idea team. What idea team are you on? And then once they know your idea team, then they can listen to you, because judgment comes first and listening isn't even a part of the equation, right? And so and the same behavior that I just described also takes place with a man's relationship with words, right? And what happens is that people read words and they automatically either they automatically judge. So someone will read Plutarch, uh, with distinction and dignity, so that it's like, oh, this man's talking about morality. So therefore, since he's talking, and he's very intellectual, right? So we're going to give this man respect, even though Plutarch was uh, a tribalist who hated every tribe that wasn't Greek. Okay, this man hated every single. So it's like, why are you praising a man that hates you? Like, unless you're Greek. So people judge the text before, oh my God, before they read the text. So listening, understanding, and then judgment. Um, and the same goes for esoteric works, because just because a man hides knowledge within a text doesn't mean it's somehow uh, sanctified and truthful. You always have to critically think um, at all times, except when listening to me. Uh, Now, so that's the same approach where we need to critically, so even though we uncover it, let's think about what they're saying. I mean, people approach esoteric texts with mysticism and superstition, right? But these would be false readings. And what's funny is that these are the readings that these little mischievous people are tempting you into. Right, they're tempting you into this superstitious realm, when actually they're, actually very rational and reasonable people. Um, Okay, let's get into the text. Now, we have to talk about I mean, she's going to the underworld, right? The descent of Inanna to the underworld, to the netherworld. Uh, So we have to talk about wicked people, okay? Now, in talking about wicked people, we will talk about toxic people, okay? Because that is, I think, the sense that these readers are engaging in, or these writers are engaging in, or this writer or these writers of Inanna's descent. Um, they are seeing this. So I mean, they would say wicked, but I would think I think they mean what we would mean by toxic. Okay, so we would say wicked, and we interpret the word wicked through the eyes of a Puritan, and so when I say wicked, that's what they would say is wicked. I mean, they would use wicked rather than toxic. But when they say wicked, they're not being puritanical. Um, so we can use the word wicked and toxic interchangeably. But we could be talking about hateful people. We could be talking about greedy people, carnal people. We could be talking about um, narcissists, um, control freaks, uh, haters, intimidators, um, uh, and uh, and that is where we will begin, right? We will begin with this idea that is in here, these words that talk about the land of no return. She has to strip naked. Maybe I passed it. She is aggressive. Okay, there it is. So this is Inanna talking to Nedi, and Nedi is the chief doorman of the underworld. And he answered, Holy Inanna, who are you? I am Inanna, going to the east. If you are Inanna going to the east, why have you traveled to the land of no return? How did you set your heart on the road whose traveler never returns? Right. So you think about someone who gets into a toxic relationship, right? So we will think about a a woman who gets involved with a man who abuses her, right? And what does this man do? Well, he's insecure, right? And so since he's insecure, he's gonna want to trap her, right? We all know this behavior, right? He wants to trap her, and so she has entered the land of no return, right? And so they're talking about relationships, right? Why would and Anna? Why would you get into a relationship with a Reshkagal, who's your sister? But your sister, doesn't want a relationship with you. She wants to control you, or she wants to hurt you, or she wants to, whatever sort of toxic behavior you can think of. She wants to dominate rather than love. Um, so I mean that's what's going on right here in this text right here. That's the meaning of the land of no return, right? This is a poetic way of talking about a toxic person, of talking about a narcissist, right? I mean, and this is great poetry right here. This is the land of Sumeria and Mesopotamia where they worship the word. And I think it is really good stuff. Now, so that's what's going on here with this talk of the netherworld, right? The netherworld isn't some mysterious evil place, and I do believe that the author of this probably does believe in a netherworld. Okay. Um, but more importantly, he believes, I think, in the human heart. And within the human heart, this is the battle between your lower self and your higher self, between your virtue and your vice. This is the story. And I think I think that's what's going on with this netherworld stuff here. They're talking about human behavior and human relationships. So now, if we step back here, we can look at really what happens in the story is you have two different approaches to how do you deal with the netherworld, right? How do you deal with the netherworld? And this author is talking about two separate approaches to your dealings with toxic people. There it is, right there. Let's see. Can you see it? You can. When Inanna arrived at the palace Ganzer, right? So she's arrived at the. I don't know. Is this the beginning of the netherworld? So she's arrived at the palace Ganzer. This is where her sister. This is her sister's abode. Her sister Erishkigal is in the netherworld. She pushed aggressively on the door of the underworld. She shouted aggressively at the gate of the underworld. "Open up, doorman! Open up! Open up, Nettie! Open up!" I am all alone, and I want to come in. And so, boom, that is approach number one. Um, and then we get that line that I just said earlier about the land of no return. And she tells the reason why. Holy Inanna answered him, because Lord Gudgalana, the husband of my elder sister, Holy Arishkagal, has died. In order to have his funeral rites observed, she offers generous libations at his wake. That is the reason. So she's come down for a funeral, right? So this is like a family affair, right? This is funeral time. And then Nettie says, "Stay here, Inanna. I will speak to my mistress. I will speak to my mistress, Areshkigala, and tell her what you have said." Nettie, the chief doorman of the underworld, entered the house of his mistress, Areshkigala, and said, "My mistress, there is a lone girl outside. It is Inanna, your sister, and she has arrived at the palace of Ganzar." She pushed aggressively on the door of the underworld. She shouted aggressively at the gate of the underworld. She has abandoned Inanna, and has descended to the underworld. Okay, there it is. He's talking about aggressiveness again, right? This is Inanna, who is righteous, right? This is righteous Inanna. And what happens, right? What happens is that she has to strip naked, right? And this is what you have to do if you ever get into controller's power, right? It's like you go back to the example of the controlling and dominating man. It's like he has to strip this woman naked for her to be around him. And here is where my powers of sight fail me. Because there's 7 things that she strips, right? And each one of these things is going to have meaning. Now, the first thing she strips, I think I understand, and it says the turban headgear for the open country was removed from her head. Now, what is this? So yeah, I mean that's funny. What is this? I mean that's yeah. That's the question you need to ask. So I think that's a little joke right there. Anyways, what is this? What is the turban? What is the headgear? So I think it is your intelligence. There's a TV show called Cheers, and in it there's a postman. What's his name? I don't know. The postman. And he might all of a sudden start talking about history, and everyone in the bar is like, so it's like they're proud of being stupid.
His name is Vern.
Vern is the bigger guy.
Okay.
Yeah, Vern. The postman. And so I mean this is what you have to do if you want to enter into some people's presence. I mean what is a conversation? A conversation is listening to another and replying, but some people don't do the listening part and they just reply. There's listen, the heavens say. So yeah, I think that's what, and I think in some esoteric writings, of course, you have to look at each specific writing, but in some of them, the crown of the king, the crown means intelligence. So that would mean that any intelligent man is a king, Or any intelligent woman is a queen, right? Any intelligent child. It's about respect. But here's where I fail. The second gate. She has to remove small lapis lazuli beads removed from her neck. What is this? There it is again. Another little Sumerian joke. Um, you know what? I think I have to stop this video here, and we'll continue on another.